Inclusion Award, supported by Shelter, Tara Flood, Alliance for Inclusion Education.
Made a demand I couldn't refuse.
The campaign that I'm working on at the Alliance for Inclusive Education is a campaign called the We Know Inclusion Works campaign, and that really came out of some really kind of like quite negative media coverage that there was a couple of years ago about the kind of like the disadvantages, shall we say, of including disabled children and young people in mainstream schools. And what we thought as an organisation was that we knew from the children and young people and the parents and the teachers that we talked to and the teachers that we worked with that actually there was a very different story to tell. I'm a survivor of a segregated education. I went to special school, residential special school at 16 months and left 3 days after my 16th birthday, then was thrown back into mainstream society without the tools that helped me find my way in the world. So I spent the next 10 years pretending to be a non-disabled person and then eventually realising that that was never going to work. And I then met other disabled people who talked to me about, you know, the struggle for disability rights and equality. And it then made me look back on my life and actually recognise where those feelings of kind of low self-esteem had come from. And it really was as far back as my childhood. And I know a lot of people want to blame kind of what went on in their childhood on kind of like their experience as an adult. But, you know, the reality is what happens to you as a young person absolutely does impact on your adult life. So I thought, well, what am I going to do? I can either sit back and say life is terrible, or I can actually set out to try to change the reality for kind of like the next generation of young people. I think broadly the change that I'd like to see, my organisation would like to see, is that the fight to get your young person or to be included yourself isn't the fight that it is currently. So that schools and communities welcome disabled children and young people in their schools just as part of every other young person that's there. That schools feel confident in finding the support that they can around training, around curriculum adaptation. That parents don't feel that there is a struggle to get their young person included in a mainstream school, and when their young person arrives in school, that they'll be welcomed in the same way that their peers are welcomed.